It was amazing thing to hear. This lion just belt this thing out, and it grinded. It sounded like somebody like pulling a stadium across a asphalt or something. And so that was inspiring. And I wanted to make a guitar sound like that, like kind of roar, and so that was the inspiration.
As I did Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
I am Steve Rathbone from Lair the Minotaur.
And Steve, how would you describe the music of Lair of the Minotaur?
I call it heavy fucking metal, but it's like old school Celtic Frost, Slayer type stuff with a little tinge of old school death metal, Entombed.
Do you feel like with the Celtic Frost influence, your music is mid-paced, almost sludgy?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of go up and down with tempo, but we usually like to stay pretty mid-tempo on a lot of stuff, a lot of rock beats.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the band? What brought you guys together originally?
Well, I wrote some demos. This was probably like in the early 2000s, and they had just been sort of sitting around for a while. And when my former band, which never really broke up, but what I was doing at the time was a band called 7,000 Dying Rats. We were doing a show at the Fireside Bowl, and Pelican was opening up. And so I had known Larry. We had worked together at a Whole Foods before. And so we started talking at that show, and I gave him the demo. And so it happened, pretty fast. And we recorded the demo with Sanford, and it was probably, 6 months after we recorded the demo that we signed with Southern Lord Records. Someone had sent our demo to Greg Anderson, and he got a hold of us out of the blue. And yeah, it was really surprising. And so things happen really fast, but yeah, it's the whole thing has been a bit of a surprise, but a fun surprise.
So you mentioned Pelican. Can you tell me a little bit about what the scene was like in Chicago at the time? Because early 2000s, Usurper would have been winding down their first run, right? Like their earache era. And I don't think the big old school revival thing had started yet. Who were you guys playing with at that point?
Well, our first show was with Bongzilla, who we're going to be playing with at the Maryland Death Fest coming up here soon. Kind of in a full circle moment. But locally, we were playing with Buried at Sea, that's Sanford's band, who is in our band now. I believe we were playing with a band called Behold the Living Corpse. And then we had played some shows with Usurper and Macabre we played with before around here. I'm a big fan of Cyanide, and we're friends with those guys, but haven't been lucky enough to play a show with them.
Were you guys always kind of, in terms of playing shows, kind of teamed up with some old school bands and some sludge bands? Like kind of in the middle of that?
Yeah. We kind of get to slide in between genres quite a bit, being associated with Southern Lord. We definitely caught a lot of the doom and sludgy type stuff, drone stuff. Even our first tour was with Sun O, and then we've been able to play with metal bands, death metal bands and punk bands, and so yeah, it's kind of cool that we get to jump genres and we're not sort of stuck in like a subgenre. And I feel like we can kind of do a lot of different things.
Yeah. There was a point where Southern Lord was a label where like basically everything they released you had to check out, if you're a music fan. I'm curious if there are any downsides to not being so easily categorizable. I think it tends to be more on like the marketing side, or maybe even like the side of like zines and things like that, who want to, if a band doesn't fit in an easy niche like old school or sludge or whatever, then it becomes kind of hard to write about them or to group them with other bands. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's true. It's very true. Yeah, sometimes it is easier to just be right, in that pigeonhole, and it's just the way that things are set up and the way, tours and fests are set up. And that kind of thing. But yeah, I was always a fan of Southern Lord. I mean, at the time, they were my favorite label, and so for them to contact us out of the blue like that, it was a very happy moment for us and surprising. Like I said, yeah, I kind of felt like just being on their roster that we were among serious artists and serious musicians, and that I really wanted to represent, and yeah, I really felt that, definitely being among that. And so, yeah, it was a cool label to be associated with.
7,000 Dying Rats was more on the grindcore side, right?
Yeah. Kind of noisy grindcore.
Yeah. What led you to want to do something that was more mid-tempo? Had more of a doom feel to it?
Yeah, I think a lot of that was just like these short, spastic kind of grind songs. And yeah, this was more of a chance to create more long form songs and kind of this my ideal of, what I would like to hear. All the tenets of the old school, but definitely when you hear it, you hear something new. You're not just hearing some worship band. And so I try to do something a little different, but also something that's very familiar.
When you sit down to write songs, how does it usually start for you? Do you always start with guitar? Do all the songs start with riffs?
No, sometimes it's guitar, sometimes it's a beat. Sometimes I'll start with the drums. I usually work with a drum machine, or sequencing something, and create demos of all the stuff, and send it off. Like this album, I worked with Chris. He lives in Seattle, and I'm in Chicago, and so we flew back and forth and practice, and we also sent files back and forth, and we're able to create demos. But the way I usually will write is a mix of, like, sometimes the riff will just be the first thing I play when I pick up my guitar. It's like I'll just like start playing something, and that'll be the riff, that'll be the song. And it's kind of weird the way like you feel like you tap into something sometimes when you just start playing something like that. But then other times it's more rhythm based, and I have more of a rhythm in my head, and then I will write the music to the rhythm.
Do you use the DAW like Pro Tools or Logic or something like that to help you assemble the songs?
Yeah, it's Sonar.
Okay. Sonar is I'm actually not familiar with Sonar.
It used to be Cakewalk.
Okay, I see.
And so like that was using it for a long time. And yeah, no, a lot of people use Pro Tools or different other things, but I've just been so comfortable with it. I've used it for so long.
Do you also do like vocal patterns and stuff like that after you have your demos done?
Yeah, I have little vocal booths set up, and so I'll create full demos, with all the pieces in there. So like to pre-visualize or audioalize, oralize, I think that would be the word. Pre-oralize, as it is. And yeah, it's just so you can kind of get the whole feel of it. So when I go into the studio, I know exactly what I want to do.
Now I've tasted blood. Now I realize
So on the 1st of May, you'll be releasing a new album called I Hail I through the Grindhouse Records, which I believe is your own label. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I Hail I will be the first album since Evil Power came out in 2010. You guys have put out a few singles a few years ago and an EP in 2018. What led to the gap between releases?
Well, I was going through some health issues there for a little while, and so everything had to go on hiatus. I wasn't able to tour. And so after I had gotten through this brunt of that and I started getting healthy again, we did this 20th anniversary show in 2023 with the original lineup. And then we recorded 2 songs with the original lineup. And so, once the ball starts rolling, here we are with a 5th album.
Coming back to the band, do you feel like the style is pretty much the same as it was in the mid 2000s, or do you feel like your way of writing songs for this project has changed?
I would say that like this album and Evil Power are very similar. There are shorter songs and more, I would say, in like a punk aesthetic. And so I would set those first 3 albums, the Southern Lord albums, apart with a little bit different style of writing. Definitely getting signed to Southern Lord so quickly, I think that may have influenced the way songs were written back then. And so I feel like these 2 albums are kind of like a little bit more of the original vision of the band. And so, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, it's a great album. Did you change up your gear a bit? It sounds like your guitar tone has changed.
Yeah, there was this piece that I had been using forever it's made like in the early 90s, and they literally have stopped making the parts to even fix them. And so I can't even get them fixed anymore. And so like I had to like give up using this FX rack unit that I've been using. And so I got a new one. And then I also used a different head during the recording, this really expensive diesel head, which is Sanford's, and it's not mine. But yeah, we ended up working on the guitar tone quite a bit, and I was really happy with how it came out.
Are you using an HM2?
I'm not sure, what is that?
Oh, that Swedish guitar tone.
Oh, sorry, no.
Okay, I was just curious because you mentioned Entombed. The guitar tone sounds very similar to what those old Swedish bands were doing. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Oh, right. Yeah, like I said, I had mentioned Entombed, right? Sorry. Yeah, I love their tone. I remember the first time I saw them, it was on the Left Hand Path tour, and yeah, LG wasn't able to come over, and so one of the guitarists was doing vocals. But I remember being so like excited to see how they got their guitar tone, and they were using a fucking heavy metal pedal, a Marshall.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was like, is that it? But they're pumping that mid-range.
Yeah. I wish I could go back in time and tell like the teenager version of me that, that guitar tone was just a Boss pedal. I think that would have changed a lot of things for me. I thought it was like some kind of like studio wizardry that Thomas Skogsberg was doing, and it turned out it was just that one pedal.
Fucking heavy metal pedal.
So you've been working with Sanford since the very beginning, right? As an engineer?
Yes. Yeah. He's recorded all our stuff. Yeah.
Well, what led to him joining as a member?
Yeah, our original bassist, DJ, he's a teacher, and he is really busy teaching, and he's focusing on his family and work right now. And so when we finished the album, I actually ended up playing bass on the album. He was sort of the obvious choice, because he had, he's been there since the beginning. He's had a huge hand in our sound and, all of our albums. And so he's kind of been like a fifth Beatle in that regard. And so, yeah, he's already sort of like a member of the band, like a ghost member of the band. So it just made sense.
Sanford's name comes up on this podcast occasionally. I've spoken to a few bands who worked with him. How would you describe his approach as an engineer?
Yeah, I really like working with him. He doesn't say much until it's necessary. And, the stuff that he says, I always, there's very few people that I'll listen to in regards to this type of thing. And so, yeah, I respect his opinion, and he's got a great ear. He can, hear a song once and he understands it. He understands, the parts and what you're trying to do. And so, yeah, I've always been happy working with him.
You mentioned working on the tones for this album. What specifically did you want Sanford to bring to the sound of this album?
Well, it was not too long ago. I was at a zoo with my daughter in the morning, and I had never heard a lion roar.
Yeah.
But that morning I did, and it shook this whole fucking zoo. And it was an amazing thing to hear. This lion just belt this thing out, and it grinded. It sounded like somebody like pulling a stadium across a asphalt or something. And so that was inspiring. And I wanted to make a guitar sound like that, like kind of roar, and so that was the inspiration.
Did you want something that was a little bit like punchy, like very like almost punk rock, like very in your face?
Yeah, just thick as molasses.
Yeah. So there's a cover on the album. Do you want to say who the cover is and why you chose to cover the song?
Yeah, it's an Ethel Cain song. The song's called Family Tree. And I've been a big fan of hers for a while now, and I've been listening to her stuff, and she was actually a big inspiration for writing this album for me. She writes a lot of stuff, has a lot of demo stuff that's like on YouTube and SoundCloud. And the way she records or songwriting or singing, like it's really impressive. And so, yeah, I really liked that song. And it's rare that I hear a song that I think that could be, that's not metal, that could be turned metalized. But as soon as I heard this and I heard the lyrics, I kept hearing it in my head. And so, yeah, it was such a part of the inspiration for this record. And the lyrics kind of play in really well with all the rest of the lyrics in the album. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. This will be the first cover it's on an album.
So I'm not really that familiar with her music. Does she do kind of like shoegaze kind of pop stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place, the stuff she does, but a lot of it is, she kind of has this Americana kind of thing going on, and some stuff she does is straight up pop, and some stuff is like really noisy, droney, like really experimental. Like her albums are all over the place. And so, yeah, there's not really one, it's another, not really one genre that you could really pigeonhole her into.
The way you guys do the song, it almost sounds like a Darkthrone song, you know what I mean? Like it's got this very old school black metal feel to it.
Yeah.
Was that melody in her original version?
The
The guitar riff?
It's in the same key. We did it in the same key, but that depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about the guitar part or the vocal part?
The guitar part, the kind of like Dark Throne sounding riff. That
No, that was I added that little bit.
yeah. Out of curiosity, I've been asking bands this recently. Do you double track all your vocals?
Most. It depends on what parts, but a lot of them I'll do a low vocal and a high vocal at the same time, and it sort of creates this otherworldly types, vocal, I believe.
Okay, interesting. When you perform live, do you just do the low vocal, or do you switch it up?
I switch, yeah, and then whoever is doing bass does backup vocals.
So you'll be releasing this through the Grindhouse, which is your own label. Can you tell me a little bit about the label? Did you create it specifically for Lair the Minotaur? or are you planning on releasing other projects and other bands?
Yeah, it was just to release Lair the Minotaur stuff independently. And yeah, I mean, that was always the goal ever since, I started playing music, was to release music independently. And so we had signed a 3 album deal with Southern Lord. And so when we were getting ready to do our 4th album, we made a deal with them for them to distribute the physical copies of the CD. And so we were able to retain the rights to the masters and to the digital streaming and have them just distribute it. And it worked out really well. And so, yeah, it's been really cool. And we're really happy to be able to release this album independently. There was a moment there that we might have had to use a label to release this. And we were talking to a couple labels, but it's mostly about money. It's like it's a loan at this point. And so we were able to fund it ourselves. And so we are happily releasing it independently.
Did you also look at like crowdfunding options and things like that?
No.
You mentioned streaming. When you guys started, streaming wasn't as, I barely understood what streaming was in the early 2000s. Now, releasing your own music, how big of an impact is it to release the digital side?
Yeah, I mean, everything has changed really. The time that we've been away, it's so crazy, all of this streaming stuff. And, I'm sure you've heard this before. It's a blessing and a curse. It's like you can release something and you can reach the whole world and the whole world can access it. But, you barely get any type of compensation for it, which has been the case forever with bands. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of bad, there's definitely a lot of bad with it, but the good that people can just listen to an album, in a device in their pocket, and someone doesn't have to go to a store, or someone doesn't have to, go track it down. Like, I don't know how old you are, but back in the day, like you had to like know people and shit, to find out about music. And, it was like a discovery,
Yeah.
a journey you'd have to go on basically, and, find albums and track them down. And it's like, there was good and bad about that, but now the fact it's just available to everyone is to a musician who just wants people to hear their music, just wants people, of course, everyone wants to make money off music, but in the end, I think people just want to share music, say, hey, dude, listen to this. And so, yeah, everything's different. But we were never, we were never on social media. So we just recently got on social media. And so we're like late to that. And
Yeah.
we're like cavemen.
For Evil Power, I think you said you handled the digital and streaming, and Southern Lord handled the physical. Did you, or are you looking for a similar partnership for this one? Or are you looking for someone else to handle the physical releases?
No, we haven't looked into that yet. We're going to try to handle that on our own and see if we can screw that up ourselves.
Okay. Ideally, you would like to have the stuff out on CD and vinyl?
Yeah, we're going to start with CDs, actually. Apparently, people are buying CDs again, which was surprising to me. But we're going to start with CDs, and we're going to then have vinyl and going to trickle it out. It's not all going to come out at the same time, but yeah, we're looking forward to that.
So, as you mentioned, you'll be playing MDF this year, a few weeks after the album is released. Do you have any other plans for tours or festival appearances or anything like that for the rest of the year?
Yeah, we're mostly just going to be sticking to festivals and one-offs. We're all have day jobs and other things and older. And so we're not looking to get back into a van and sleep on floors and all that shit again. And so, yeah, we're just doing fests and one-offs. And so we're doing, after Maryland Death Fest, we're doing the Motoblot Festival in Chicago, the Remova Theater with High on Fire, which is like this motorcycle fest. It's like a street. It takes over the whole street. And then we are playing the Hideout. We're doing a proper record release show here in Chicago on July 10th as well. And then we have some other festival appearances coming up later in the fall, but we're waiting to confirm them, so we'll be announcing them soon.
So by the time people hear this episode, I Hail I will be out through the Grindhouse Records. Steve, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
The best way to get it now would be through Bandcamp at the Lair the Minotaur Bandcamp page.
And is all your merch going through the Bandcamp page as well?
Yep, there is a link right down on the Bandcamp page for our t-shirts, and it goes right to our t-shirt shop on TeePublic. And they can get all sorts of printed items there.
And you mentioned you're new to social media. Did you set up a Facebook page, an Instagram page, all that good stuff?
No Facebook, but Instagram we do.
Okay. It was really nice talking to you, Steve. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want people to know about the new album?
Yeah, we appreciate you listening. If anyone stuck around this long. Yeah, if you like old school shit, check it out. And take it easy.
Excellent. Thanks, Steve.
All right, take care. Bye.